What if the most seismic shift in any relationship isn't a fight, isn't a breakdown, isn't a dramatic goodbye, but the moment someone quietly, permanently stops letting you in? Stay with me. Because what Carl Jung discovered about energy, boundaries, and what he called the aura of the psyche will completely change how you understand what happens when an empath finally closes the door. Most people think empaths are defined by their openness, by their capacity to absorb, to receive, to feel everything in a room before they've even taken off their coat. And for a long time, that's exactly what they are. But Carl Jung discovered something that almost nobody talks about, something that the manipulators, the energy drainers, the people who feed on emotional generosity, something they never see coming. When an empath closes the door, the energy doesn't disappear. It transforms. And what it transforms into is the most powerful force in human psychology. Here's what Jung understood that modern psychology is only beginning to catch up to. Every human being radiates what he described as a psychic field, a living, breathing, energetic signature that interacts with the fields of others. For most people, this field fluctuates, it reacts, it bends to external pressure. But for the empath, this field is extraordinarily sensitive, extraordinarily vast, and for a long time, extraordinarily unguarded. Jung called this the permeable psyche. The empath doesn't just sense the emotions of others, they absorb them, metabolize them, carry them. They walk into a room and instantly know who is lying, who is grieving, who is performing happiness they don't feel. This isn't a gift they chose, it's the architecture of who they are. And for years, and sometimes decades, they use this gift in service of others. They soothe, they stabilize, they stay. But here's where it gets dangerous for the people who mistake that openness for weakness. Carl Jung said that the psyche, like the universe itself, operates on a principle of energetic economy. What flows out must eventually be replenished. And when it isn't, when the empath gives and gives and gives into relationships that take without returning, something in the deepest structure of their psychology begins to shift. Jung called it the reversal of the energic flow. And it is absolutely inevitable. Think about what happens to a river that's been dammed. The water doesn't vanish. It accumulates, it deepens. It builds a pressure that is slow, silent, and when it finally redirects, unstoppable. The empath, who has been endlessly pouring their energy into someone who never refills them, reaches this point. And when they do, the shift isn't emotional, it isn't dramatic, it's energetic, it's architectural. Something inside them reroutes. This is the moment the door begins to close. Now here's what will absolutely blow your mind. Because most people assume that when an empath withdraws, it's because they're hurt, because they're broken, because they've run out of love, and this is the catastrophic miscalculation that draining people make every single time. Jung discovered that the closure of an empath is not the end of their energy. It is the reclamation of it. He described this process as energic introversion, not in the sense of becoming shy or reclusive, but in the precise psychological sense. The libido, the life force, the animating energy of the personality withdraws from the external object and floods back into the self. And when that happens, something extraordinary occurs. The empath, who once felt depleted by loving too much, suddenly finds themselves flooded with a vitality they barely remember. Colors are sharper, thoughts are clearer. The noise that used to fill their head, the constant psychic static of absorbing everyone else's reality, goes quiet. For the first time in years, they can hear themselves. Carl Jung had a specific name for what begins to radiate from a person who has reclaimed their energy. He called it the aura of individuation. And before you dismiss that as mystical, listen carefully, because Jung was precise about what he meant. When a person completes what he called the individuation process, the deep, often painful work of becoming fully themselves, their entire psychic field reorganizes. It stops broadcasting availability. It stops sending the unconscious signals that say, "Come, take, consume me." Instead, it begins to emit something entirely different. Certainty, completeness, boundlessness turn to boundary. People feel it before they can name it. The empath who has closed the door walks into a room differently. They speak differently. There is no desperation in their voice, no hunger for approval in their eyes. The energy around them has stopped reaching outward and started radiating. And radiation, Jung understood, cannot be manipulated. It can only be felt. Here's the part that will send chills through you, because what happens to the people who used to drain the empath, the ones who relied on that open door, who built their entire dynamic around having unlimited access, when the door closes, they feel it immediately. Not because the empath announces it, not because there's a confrontation, an ultimatum, a final speech. They feel it because the energetic field has shifted. The pull is gone. The warmth that used to welcome them, excuse them, absorb their behavior, it's no longer available. And in its place is something they don't know how to respond to: stillness. Jung observed that manipulative personalities are fundamentally parasitic in their energy dynamics. They require a host who remains open, who continues to react, who keeps the door at least slightly ajar so they can wedge themselves back in. The moment the empath achieves what Jung called psychological closure, not just emotional distance, but a fundamental reorganization of their energetic field, the parasite loses its host. And without a host, it cannot survive the relationship. But here's what makes this transformation truly magnificent. Truly Jung's greatest insight into the nature of the empath. The closing of the door is not an act of coldness. It is not revenge. It is not even ultimately about the person being shut out. Jung said that the most profound acts of psychological sovereignty are never really about the other. They are about the self choosing itself, finally, completely, without apology. The empath who closes the door is not becoming hard. They are becoming whole. The sensitivity doesn't disappear, it deepens. But now it is directed by wisdom rather than compulsion. They no longer feel everything because they cannot stop themselves. They feel everything because they choose to be present, and they choose with extraordinary discernment. Jung called this selective permeability, the ability of the fully individuated psyche to remain open to what nourishes and closed to what corrodes. It is the highest expression of emotional intelligence, and it radiates. God, does it radiate? According to Carl Jung, there is a phenomenon that occurs in the energetic field of a person who has reached this level of integration. He described it as the consolidation of the aura, the moment when someone's psychic presence becomes so coherent, so internally aligned, that it begins to affect the space around them without any conscious effort. People are drawn to the awakened empath, not because they need saving anymore, but because in a world full of people radiating anxiety, performance, and hunger, someone who radiates completion is extraordinary, rare, magnetic in a way that has nothing to do with trying. They have stopped leaking energy into relationships that didn't deserve it, and all of that energy, years of it, decades of it, has returned home. Carl Jung said that the greatest transformation available to a human being is not the transformation of their circumstances, but the transformation of their field, the invisible, undeniable, impossible to fake energetic signature that precedes them into every room and lingers long after they've left. The empath who closes the door doesn't lose their light. They stop handing it to people who were only ever using it to cast their own shadows. And that reclaimed light, refined by everything they survived, deepened by every wound they metabolized, sharpened by every moment they finally chose themselves, becomes something Jung called the individuated aura. Untouchable, unmistakable, unstoppable. The door is closed. The energy has shifted. And what stands on the other side of that door is not the person they used to know. It is someone who has finally completely become themselves. And according to Carl Jung's lifetime of research into the deepest architecture of the human psyche, that is the most powerful thing a person can ever become. If this reached something in you, share it with someone who needed to hear it. And if you're in the middle of your own door closing right now, trust the shift. The energy knows where it belongs.